Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reimagine with Renata. As always, am excited every opportunity I get to chat with you all about life, about faith, about fashion, about business, about lifestyle. And today, I am thrilled to have one of my closest friends. She's actually a cousin. We kind of have the same face a little bit. I don't know. Many people say that. We all have the same face. There are a lot of us. My family is big. And so I'm so glad that you all have the opportunity to meet and learn more about my beautiful cousin, Tiffany E. Tiffany, welcome to the party.
Well, hello, Renata. I am so excited to be with you today. And hello, everyone. Yes, I am. We are a part of an amazing family. And I'm so excited to have you here as my cousin and one of my faves. Don't tell anyone.
I won't. Hopefully, we can all be together. What a crazy episode! If we can you imagine if we were all on one episode? Woo, child! What episode it would be. But I think you all can relate. Families are truly how we are cultivated in terms of character and just thriving or surviving in the world, depending on how you look at it. It's all perspective. So we'll touch a little bit on that today about family and a Black family structure. Oh, did I spill some tea already? We have a lot to talk about and we have a lot to catch up on. There's a lot happening in the world. But I just want you to learn a little bit more about Tiffany. So, Tiffany, tell our friends a little bit about you and what you do and why you're so amazing.
No, thank you. So, first and foremost, I feel that I'm innovative, creative, blessed, child of God. And I currently work in the education field, specifically the high school division, as a school counselor and a college counselor. But I'm huge on family. I reside in the state of Florida, and I have two siblings who live here and one parent as well, my mom. And so I look forward to the discussion. It's going to be intense and exciting.
So, you said a lot right there, just with the education aspect alone. As someone who's also works in education, you all know that I've worked in education for 10 years, most recently in K to 12 education. And obviously, it's no secret 2020 was a very tricky year in itself, and the years after have been about recovery and just creating a new normal. Which, Tiffany, I know I can't even imagine in your seat with children who are preparing to go to college what that transition has been like over the past couple of years post 2020, and like how to even counsel students. Like, do you feel like in your profession that you have the support of families, or do you feel like kids, students are out there on their own trying to navigate it and figure it out? Or is it depending on who you are?
That is a loaded question.
I know. We can jump right in.
Uh, So at this time, I work at a predominantly white institution. And so that is the perspective that I'm going to
Yeah.
share with you today. I feel as though many of our parents are exhausted. They're reaching out for help, but also blaming educators at the same time, which is strange. But at the core of it all, it's just worry and concern. They want their children to be okay. And with that comes a lot of emotions because you're right. We have to prepare students to go off and be little adults and navigate the world at the college level. And some of them are ready and some of them need that gap year.
It is so interesting to me how different many would say that the work environment you're in is compared to mine, because I am in a predominantly Latinx, African American environment, and you've said nothing that I cannot relate to. I think parents, um, it's a divide between needing support and don't know they need support, and the needing support but not taking action to get the support they need. And some people just don't know, right? And that's fair. And I know that you love the content. You guys text me, comment, tell me all the things you feel about the content. But our goal here at Reimagine with Renata is to provide thought-provoking conversation that allows us to learn more about what our options are, how to be more solutions oriented, how to create the life that we want, right, in the eyes of the Lord, that is And so these conversations, we jumped right into a very heavy topic, but they are also very necessary because the longer we don't have them, the longer it'll take us to get to a place where we no longer feel like we're surviving, where we can actually feel like we're thriving. And I know our people have felt like we've been thriving post 2020. We've started businesses, we've applied for jobs. Right now the market looks great. We have not, our Black and African American people have not been employed at this rate ever in the history of this country. And so it appears that we're thriving. However, recently our Supreme Court has decided that affirmative action is unjust. It is unjust. So that alone, the thought that affirmative action is not justified in our country. How do you feel about that, Tiffany?
Thank you for bringing that up because in my world, I can tell you there's a lot of pressure for
Mhm.
students to be accepted to Ivy League schools and highly selective schools. So I am going to speak from the college admission realm of
Right.
affirmative action because I know that can go further across the board. But this is my area of expertise, and I'm curious to see how things will play out. And the reason why I say that is
Yeah.
because the Ivy League and top tier colleges immediately started emailing me, not just me, but other college counselors all around the world, I'm sure, stating that they are not in agreement with the Supreme Court's decision and that
Mhm.
they want to stand firm and let everyone know that they are very welcoming and accepting of diversity and inclusion. And by the 35th email, I thought to myself, because there's over 6,000 options in our country
Mhm.
alone. So by the 35th email, I thought to myself, well, was there anything they could have done to stop the Supreme Court from making this
This
decision?
decision, because I'm pretty sure that we've all been talking about it. The Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, MSNBC, CNN. Like, this is not something that just happened overnight. I mean, we could blame our former president and his choices. However, we cannot pretend like we don't live in a capitalist country,
Right.
and like the voices of these organizations that we continue to fund, whether it be with mommy and daddy's money or student loans, have a voice, a valuable voice in our country. So that is very interesting to me as well.
Hmm. And I will say that what a lot of people don't realize is that Ivy League and top tier universities percentage of diversely racial and ethnic groups I mean, find me a school that has over 8% in that category. I mean, we're
Mhm.
talking about 2 to 5% of
Right.
school is in that category. So it makes me sit back and wonder, well, who thought it was 80% of the school that was racially diverse or ethnically diverse? It's confusing. So then I didn't want to get, and I've heard this term a few times and I love it. I didn't want to be intellectually lazy and stop
Mm.
thinking there, right? Took it a
Yeah.
step further and I said, well, wait a minute. When I talk with my students and I ask them why they want to go to an Ivy League school or a highly selective school, and this is not just now, this is over the last decade,
Yeah.
they don't know why. They just know that the name is popular. They know that mommy, daddy, grandma, grandpa went there, and they should as well. So I challenge them. Tell me why this school is a good fit for you. Because
Right.
every Ivy school is different. There are not two Ivy League schools that are the same. So you want to apply to all of them, but why? Okay, so let's take it a step further.
Mhm.
The admissions rates for all of these IVs and top tier schools is simply based on the number of applicants. So if
Mm.
80,000 students apply to Harvard, and Harvard can only accept 1,200 students, that ratio, that difference is what makes the acceptance rate.
Right.
Well, if only 2,000 apply and they can accept 1,200, that acceptance rate will skyrocket. So my thing is figure out why you want to go there. Figure out why it's a good fit for you.
That is some of the best advice for not first of all, before you even get to high school, middle schoolers need to know this because where you decide to go to high school. Obviously, my cousin is a very knowledgeable, educated, smart. I mean, she's beautiful, obviously, but she knows what she's talking about, and she's supporting children on their path to college. So imagine, right, for parents who are clueless, educators who are tired and disinterested, where your child could end up coming out of high school, and they're making these choices and are unclear of even why. And that's the question that Tiffany is posing. Why do you want to go there? Working with children in the Latinx and Black and Brown community, I understand that they don't know why, right? They are familiar with the name. They get on campus, they realize they are the minority, because where they went to high school, they were the majority. Now they get on this campus where they are the minority, and it's like sink or swim. And a lot of times they are sinking, because when I look at these graduation rates as a mom with a child on the way to college, I'm like, why is the 23%? 23%.
That is critical
Hmm.
because you are making an investment in an
Right.
institution that's telling you your child may or may not graduate. I am also intrigued to look at retention rates. So,
That.
what I've been blessed enough to participate in are these things called fly-ins for counselors. Now, pre-COVID, I mean, I flew everywhere. Every university wants to fly out counselors from prestigious schools to show off their campus because they're recruiting students, right?
Yeah.
And my first and last questions were always along the lines of, well, tell me about the representation in your faculty. How many people on this campus are teaching look like me? Where do
Mm.
these diverse students of different races and ethnicities, where do they see role models day to day? What programs do you have in place to keep them here? Because they are the minority on the campus.
Right.
So those are all things to think about. And quite frankly, Renata, you and I know it starts at home before
Oh,
we can get to high school, college, middle school. It starts at home.
okay, I am so glad you said this, because oftentimes I will speak into the camera, and to my good friends who watch, I am always speaking to you when I'm speaking into the camera. What Tiffany has brought up about it starting at home, if you know me, if you pay attention, if you're listening, you know I'm very passionate about parents being the first educators,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we touched on this a little bit earlier, but we talked about the expectation. Tiffany mentioned the expectation that parents have of educators, right? In my experience, we are mothers, fathers, mediators, counselors, nurses, best friends, after school care, before school care,
Wow.
all the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, when it's all said and done, no one is going to ask them, what did your middle school teacher tell you, tell you to do? When you get to whatever point in life where you question the decisions that you made, no one is going to ask you or your child, what did the middle school or high school teacher tell you to do? They're going to say, well, what did your parents suggest? What
Correct.
role did your parents play in this decision? What role or advice did your parents give to you? However, as we named earlier, parents are withdrawn, they're stepping back. And let me not generalize. Sorry. Let me not generalize. It is not everyone. It
Mm-hmm.
is a few, but a few too many based on where we are as a culture, especially at now that we will soon experience in our homes the impact of the Supreme Court's decision on affirmative action. And if you have not been tuning in to like these updates, I suggest that you do, because it is not just affirmative action, it is also student loan.
Yes.
So for many millennials, who are trying to pay back these student loans, because we want to be educated. We want to get all the knowledge we can get so we can step into these spaces more and be more impactful and more powerful in our
Yes.
communities. That is what I'm hoping that we're doing. Now it's harder for us to get there, because we know that these institutions that Tiffany has named are not looking for us. Okay? They're looking for checks. I'm not going to talk about the women that went to jail behind their plans. We're not going to bring those women into this, those families. We can leave them out of this conversation, but we will talk about families. And Tiffany, when you say it starts at home,
Mm-hmm.
is it because I'm a single mom and I'm raising my daughter alone? and I should not say that. I'm not raising her alone. We live in a house alone, but we have a very significant, well educated, supportive village of people that not just support me in raising her, but pour into her so that she understands her value as a young woman,
God.
but also can support her in the path that she's taking to becoming an adult. So I value that. Our homes in our communities are lacking to parents. They're lacking education, right? Some millennials are still the first to ever go to college and graduate.
Mhm.
So, what would you say in regards to the Black family structure? What would you say is the breakdown? Is the breakdown education? Is the breakdown lack of both parents? Is it all of the above?
You know what? Okay, we're at 20 minutes. Let me try not to keep the whole sermon. Now,
Child.
I have to be honest and share a bit of my background because I don't want to presume to know everything or everyone's story. I'll be very open. I am nobody's mom, but I am somebody's aunt, godmom. You know what I'm saying? I am very much a role model figure in my church as well. When it comes to building up a child's self worth
Mhm.
in the home, it has to be outside of what's on the outside.
Mm. Can you say that one more time, please? Just one more time.
Your self-worth cannot be connected to just your physical appearance. It can't. There's too many ups and downs in life, and there's too many obstacles that you're going to go through that are detached from your physical appearance, and that will require you to think critically and remember who you are and whose you are. If you're raised in a home where it's faith-based, you just have to remember that you are a child of God and you have so much to offer this world. And it's hard to speak that into young people today. I've watched in my career path just so many heartbreaking situations that you
Mm.
could tell it started when they were little. This is
Right,
not a new thing. So the
right.
breakdown, I think, has to do a lot with, okay, well, did I attend private or public school?
Mm,
How many parents did I have at home? What was my village like? Did I have a village?
right.
Did I have all my basic needs met? This is why the topic of mental health and mental wellness that has been coming up over and over again
Yes.
since the world pandemic. Hallelujah. Because as a community, we are unpacking layers of traumas and things that
Mm,
were not talked about in years past. So, if I may, just one more thing.
absolutely.
I I need everyone to know that college admissions is a business. And we never want to attach our self worth to a decision about whether or not you're admitted or not, right? Because if I had to name two campuses, Harvard and Brown, right now, they're very, very supportive of diversity. When I went there, I felt very comfortable as a Black woman, safe space for young people who look like me. Sure. But let's not forget why HBCUs are here. Okay. It's as a result of certain communities not wanting us in their space. And no one wants to be the kid on campus who gets into Harvard and Brown and hear your classmates say, "Oh, you're only here because of affirmative action," because that happens all the time.
That definitely happens. And I know many people who have either had that experience as a minority in these spaces or have been in these spaces with minorities and have
Mhm.
seen it happen or have experienced it and became allies to
Mm.
minorities because they were in a circle of people who
Yes.
had varying perspectives about different cultures being in the same spaces. And it's funny, like, this is where this conversation goes. I mean, we'll obviously talk about the family structure, but I'm noticing now, especially in New York, the divide among the socioeconomic status of people living here is vast and wide. Like
Mm.
it's really bad. And as my friends will say, rent is not going down. Rent is not going down.
Oof.
The cost of food is through the roof and the
Mm.
quality is poor. The cost of living is through the roof and the quality of life is poor. And in these circumstances,
Mhm.
you have to fight and push to provide for your family, take care of your children, make sure they're learning and recovering from the learning loss of the pandemic. And
Absolutely.
and provide for them financially and support them on this path to being educated so that uh, they can break this cycle of poverty and whatever else
Yes.
is, I call it generational curse.
Hmm.
Um, and but to that point, like if you are raising multiple children alone, you're a single parent, something is going to fall through the cracks. Something will fall through the cracks. And I don't know if that has always been felt. I feel like in the past, single parents felt supported because even if there wasn't both parents in the home, there was community. The neighborhood felt like a community. And if you didn't have eyes on your child, someone else had eyes on
Yeah.
your child. But now everyone seems to be so very isolated. They're creating, even in New York, a lot of social clubs where you have to pay membership fees. Mind you, it's a restaurant. It's simply a restaurant.
Um,
But
you-
But not just anybody can walk into this restaurant. You have to be a member. You have to pay this astronomical fee every year to be with people like yourself.
that's sad.
So this is what college is like, right? You're paying to be in an atmosphere
Hmm.
with people who are on the same level of you as you, whether it's your complexion or it's your socioeconomic status. So have colleges become social clubs or have they always been social clubs?
They've always been, if I may.
Okay. Okay.
Because I love that you're sharing this about New York because I did not know that
Hmm.
dynamic. Now I know why everyone's moving to Florida, but that's for another day.
Yeah.
Um, hmm. You know, one of the things I love to talk with my students about before they go visit any campuses, right? It goes both ways. You're on this side of the fence saying, please pick me. Please, I hope they pick me. I hope I get in. And
Mhm.
universities are on the other side saying, please let them apply. Please have a lot of students apply so we can keep
Right.
acceptance rate within the 3 to 5% range. You have
Right.
to vet a school to see how invested they are in you. No one should go into college to earn a 4 year degree, bachelor's degree, and have to pay anything. That school should be paying you based on your
Mhm.
grades, which we call those merit scholarships,
Yeah.
to go to their school. That shows you how much value,
Right.
right, you will be to their institution.
And I'm having this very conversation with my daughter because she's assessing the platform that shows like how many students from your school were accepted, what their GPA was in previous years, right?
Yeah.
And some of the schools she initially was looking at, she's like shocked
Yeah.
at one, the some of the SAT scores, some
Mhm.
of the GPAs, and still got accepted versus some of the GPAs and SAT scores and didn't get accepted when they
Mhm.
should have if it's about your GPA and your SAT score. But there are so many other dynamics. There's so many other dynamics like what were they doing while they were in high school? Like, do they have a 4.0 GPA because all they did was academics, no clubs, no
Mhm.
volunteer, no sports, nothing
Mhm.
extracurricular? Maybe they're not as valuable to us. And that concept, when colleges are looking at thousands and thousands of applications, my God, how quickly do they ponder?
Mhm. Well, you bring up something else that I'm happy to share about because, then you start wondering, okay, so that student that didn't have the grades and standardized test scores that, would qualify them to have a seat at the school. What if they're
Hmm.
now a student center or a library or skating rink that pops up on campus with that student's last name? Because that is very much a thing.
Well,
Okay,
there's that.
there's that. Or the student could very well have something that the university wants. For example, I can share with you that I've worked with students in the past. They had some, whether they were professional ice skaters, right? So there's the athletic component, or if they play the bagpipes. They really want that student at their school to play the bagpipes, right? Something odd, a
Hmm.
one-off situation. But what's interesting is I don't want to sit here and say that I've not had to have difficult conversations with individuals who are from the opposite race that I am, and they've worked hard. I mean, harder than many of the students in the class, and they just flat out got denied because their hard work wasn't enough. And this is why I'm looking at this not only from a diversity perspective, but these are children. And we as college counselors have to constantly try to protect their hearts. I can look at any student's profile from anywhere and tell you whether or not they're going to get in. God has given me that gift. I have worked in a place and a space to know that and to learn that and to be able to share that with people. And it's heartbreaking because you flat out know some of these places that students want to apply, they're not getting in. And it has nothing to do with who they are and their self-worth. So then we go back now, right, to the family structure, family dynamic. Are we building our kiddos up, and how and why is that important in the long run?
That is such a good point, because when I think about the experience in K, let me just stick with middle school quickly. When I think about the experience in our communities where it's very difficult to get families to report card conferences.
Yes.
So they are unclear on their students' academic progress until it's too late. Where no one shows up to the PTA meetings, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is where you found out the plans for that the educators you leave your children with and have all these expectations for. You don't show up to find out their intentions with your child. No. You go, I feel like sometimes parents literally just go to the school to look at the people in charge and say, do I trust them with my kid? Yeah, okay. And drop them off. Because all of this matters when you get to this point of applying for college. Like what their day in middle school is like, is in our minds, maybe formally, or even parents now are like, they need to be doing well academically and great. There is so much more that they need. They need social emotional support. They need to be active. Okay, let's put the phones away, the iPads. Let's go outside and play. Let's discover grass and trees and leaves and water and creeks and springs. Like, let's explore the world so that when we get to these spaces, we don't feel out of place because we haven't taken the time to learn, right? We have to be able to have these conversations at these tables. And if we're not putting ourselves in a position to gain information, then we get to these tables and either we don't get in or we get there and we don't graduate.
Right. Well, and it's not funny, but how embarrassing is it for you to get in? And this is in my field, we say sometimes the easiest part is getting in. Right. You get in, and then here comes that call at 1 a.m. in the morning to mom and dad after semester one. Get me out of here after you've paid X amount of dollars to ship them there. Pick me up now. So you're absolutely right. And I will share that I have worked in an educational setting similar to yours, cousin. And those were the 5 most intriguing and perplexing years of my life pre-pandemic. Students don't even go to our local beach. All the Disney parks that are here, they've never been to them because they can't afford to go. And parents, they can't make the sacrifice and investment to support them in travel, just leaving the state of Florida. Those are things that are necessary. And I don't think everyone is able to think that far sometimes when they think about parenthood. I mean, because who I am at this age isn't who I was.
Right.
So.
And to that point, right? Like, people, they say millennials are having children later. Your lovely aunt, my mother, sent me a article this morning about millennials. Like, this the highest rate, word for word. The 40-year-old American millennial breaks a new record. A quarter of them have never been married. So who is raising these children? Wow. If a quarter of millennials have never been married, who is raising these children?
Okay, that statistic threw me off completely.
I'll send it to you.
Please.
But when we talk about family structure and the importance of cultivating these characteristics in your child from the womb, right? Cultivating them in yourself before you get pregnant, that's a whole different conversation, right? This is where we are not, I don't know if we're not connecting the dots as much as we don't care to connect them.
Intellectual laziness, yes, is rampant. It is. And
And the battle constantly online between who's right between black men and black women, right? About that's a whole nother conversation. You guys know we touch on the spicy topics that you guys battle about all the time on the internet, and we love to see it. We love to watch it. We engage sometimes, but at the end of the day, our desire is that we would love one another in such a way, because love conquers all. We would love one another in such a way that it would create in us a new life, a new legacy, a new way of living and being as a culture. And for some reason, we just continue to tear each other down. And it's really, really sad.
it is.
But what is the most unfortunate piece for me about it is that other cultures are watching us do it and learning how to degrade us, disrespect us, and treat us based on how they are observing us treat each other. Because as much as people say like racism always been around, but it wasn't so prevalent. We didn't always have the visuals. Didn't always have the access. Not we have the access to that, but now they have the access to how we think. Do they use? They're creating AI programs around the way we live to continue to perpetuate these ideals that we shouldn't even have. That's another podcast episode.
Okay, so the 22 layers that you just unpacked there, I feel like I need to pull over. Just let me pull over and just say, it's scary and it's disappointing. Now, if you are followers of Christ, we know that God is love, right? And so we should be loving toward one another. I think for me, I'm just kind of waiting around to see, when are we going to realize we are the global majority? Hello.
Global. We gotta think big. You gotta think big.
We are the global majority.
That part.
What does that mean? And we are thriving in a place, in a space where we were never supposed to. We were never supposed to thrive here. That was not the goal. And once we shift our thinking and our mindset to say minority in this tiny bubble, great. Globally, no, not so much.
Right. And now that you say that, like I had a friend who's recently moved to Ghana, right? And that is not my first friend to pack up and get out of here. But I wonder if our perspective is limited because we have not been afforded the opportunity to experience other parts of the world and how people live, because we have been brainwashed to believe that we are in the best place on earth because so many people want to live here. They don't want to live here. They want to make money here. Correct. And take it back to where they are from, or send it back to where they are from to create a better life for their families where they are. Let's be clear about that. No one wants to live in America just to say, I'm living in America, I'm living an American dream. Because what is is that the name of this podcast episode? What is the American dream?
Yes. Well, you're absolutely right, because the media here is the end all be all for some. And how was Africa portrayed in all of the commercials that we watched in the 80s? Oh, someplace you never want to be. That is not okay, honey.
They bamboozled us, didn't they?
They sure did.
Those children were hungry. They had flies flying around them. Couldn't barely get water. Looked like everything was a struggle.
And then now look at Cali, Seattle, Orlando, New York. Looks like what they were portraying over there is here.
Everywhere outside of the U.S. was except for Europe, London, Paris, Italy, all those. Everywhere else was a third world country if you let the media tell it.
Now the girls are moving to all of the Mexico, Costa Rica.
Happily. I think that we have uncovered so much, and I am enjoying this conversation. One, because I know it is a God-led conversation, and God is truth, and you can, simply put, you don't have to believe the truth for it to be the truth. The truth needs no proof.
Amen.
So I want you all to, I know we're funny, we're comedic, we're beautiful, but I want you all to take in a lot of what is being said and really think about it and really think about what that means, not just for your children or your family, but what it means for your community. Obviously, I've named before my family, my mom is Guyanese, my father is Cuban, my cousin is, both parents are Guyanese. So our families are not from the United States. However, they've come here and they've made a life for themselves, and obviously, they've created some beautiful, well-educated children. And the legacy that we want, obviously, Tiffany will tell us more about this soon. Hopefully, is of love and a life that is beautiful in the eyes of the Lord. We are all Christians, and that is the desire, right? Like, we want to live forever. We want to see him one day, and we want the work that we've done here on earth to be, for him to be pleased with it.
Amen.
It wouldn't be right for us to have all of this knowledge and insight and input and just sit on it. That mommy used to tell me all the time, why would y'all want to sit down on your bread? being unaware and choosing to opt out or to not get involved or to mind your business in these scenarios was just not an option because, right, we were up against so much. We are up against so much, clearly.
Absolutely.
Hashtag Supreme Court.
Which, excuse me, I, for one, love to dive into individuals' lives, past and history. If they make some, let's say, interesting decisions in their career that impact the lives of an entire country. And I just challenge everyone, just research who is on the Supreme Court in their history, and you will learn a lot.
Please do. Like, that is a thread if you ever seen one. And I don't know, I think the Black delegation has handed over Clarence Thomas, but just go on ahead and pray for him.
Please, he needs it. He needs to be on our prayer list.
Because whether we like it or not, with this, we can't treat everything like social media. We can't block, delete, unfollow, report user. Like, we have to pray for his mind so that he can start making better decisions.
Yes.
Tiffany.
Yes.
I love when guests come on because people say I should do podcasts by myself, and I will. I promise you guys they are coming. But when guests come on and they've brought such value and such joy to Reimagine with Renata, it wouldn't be right for you to not truly know who they are. And so, Tiffany, we want to learn a little bit more about you today.
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's perfect. Yes.
Okay. Do you have your purse with you?
I do have my purse.
All right. So we're going to go, touching a Black woman's purse can get you possibly murdered back in the 80s and 90s. But we want to see what's in your purse. What do you carry on a day-to-day basis? Thrive through life. We know, obviously, there's like the essentials, maybe. I don't know. You tell us what it's like in your purse.
Okay. So in my purse, and I love this, by the way, first and foremost, in a state like Florida, you must have your hater blockers at all.
We love them. Oh, look at
you. When you're walking the dog, if you're just trying to mind your business, you need to have your hater blockers with you at all times. Okay.
Absolutely.
That is a must. Let's see. You have to have an extra long aux cord for what? Oh, no. When you need to charge your phone from wherever you're at. Okay.
Right. And if you have to be strapped to the wall, you have some space to do it because.
Listen, and don't let people find out it's the extra long one because then they want to also use it.
Right.
Always. You must keep
I have to pick that up.
Moisture.
I have mine.
Yes. It's so good. So good. You have to have 2 different wallets. Why? I don't know.
It's a bag full of money.
Umbrella, because listen.
Oh, yes, because it rains every other second in Florida.
You will be embarrassed out here thinking it's a nice sunny day. Get caught out in a rainstorm. please know what time it is, because if you're not traveling with
I have a travel deodorant in my bag.
travel size deodorant, you are not a Floridian. I don't know who you
Oh
are.
my God. Let me tell you something. Because I was working with children and
Yeah,
they come up to your armpit, you have to make sure because the children will let
they
you
will let
know.
you know. They will
They
also let
will
you
let
know
you
when you
know.
don't look well, when you look tired, you don't look too good. Mm.
That
Lotion,
is so true.
always
Yes to the
lotion. You'll
lotion.
never catch me outside doing is being ashy. I just can't. I just can't. Always something to write, because documentation is life as a counselor. So always, always, always. Okay, so yes, you need a little bit of floss. You need a little bit
Oh my gosh, you have to floss every day. People, you have to floss. Why?
every day, twice a day. And
Julia Roberts taught us, and y'all still didn't do it. Pretty Woman, when he caught her in the bathroom flossing her teeth, you have to floss. It doesn't matter what your lifestyle is.
no,
You have to floss.
absolutely non-negotiable. And the last thing is this, made it into my bag from my car. It's just because going nowhere is the most reasonable thing to do. If you go somewhere, you're gonna have to pay a toll. So you're gonna need to have this in your car. My
Oh
car's
my
in the
God.
shop, so I pulled it out of my
So that is amazing. I love your purse. It makes sense to me. It makes
car.
sense to me. Um, and you have stated that you're in Florida. Now,
Yes.
I'm in New York. I've been outside in New York, and people are kind of outside, but not really. I'm still like, where's everybody at? And I think a large part of it is because a lot of the people that live here are not actually from here. So when there are holidays, like they leave New
Mm,
York. So are people outside? Well, obviously they come to Disney World. So maybe they all left New York and came to Florida.
they did, if you're wondering. We are at capacity. I'm getting ready to call the fire marshal because the state is fully loaded. This past Tuesday, we had a heat index of 111 degrees, and they did not shut down the parks. And I'm like,
Oh my God.
Lord,
People outside in that weather passing out.
please be with everyone at Epcot Universal Magic Kingdom. It is no joke. This heat
I
is
can't.
ridiculous.
I've been there when the weather is 90 something degrees. And I'm like, where can we go inside? Where's the AC? Where's the AC and as much water as possible?
Mm, mm, mm.
111 degrees.
People are outside, but it's 90 degrees at 7 p.m. in the evening.
Ooh,
So people are in between their air conditioned homes and air conditioned cars, air conditioned grocery stores.
right. Because how do you do it? Oh, and for on that note, you all remember to check in on your loved ones, the elderly, and all the people who need support during times like this when they can't really be outside and they need groceries, they need things. Be sure to check on them. Here in New York, I mean, it's been hot, not as hot as Florida, but we've also had poor air quality. We still have poor air quality. Yesterday, the air quality was at 150, which is bad,
Wow.
poor. Today, it's better. It's at 59, which is moderate. But New York City in general, like the air quality is bad because of all of the automobiles. It's overcrowded. It's given overcrowded.
It's giving Florida?
But Atlanta says the same thing, and I don't have the stats on that, but they told New Yorkers stop coming there,
Really?
and friends in Miami are also saying the same thing. But we have the beautiful opportunity to be everywhere because we're on the World Wide Web. So if you have enjoyed this episode and you believe that this content has been valuable to you, please share it with a friend. Please
Mhm.
share it with a parent. Please share it with a student that's on their way to college, so that they can just start to become aware of the things they should be thinking about. And of course, Tiffany is always welcome on the show. We'll have her back. We have so many topics to discuss. You guys have no idea. Tiffany, any last thoughts you want to share with our friends as we go off back into outside, as we go back outside?
Right. Well, first of all, thank you, Renata. I'm so
Thank
overjoyed to
you.
have spent this time with you. I miss you. I hope to see you in person soon. This has been a
That's the
blessing to
deal.
me. Yes. So thank you for having me. My last words are going to be from Matthew 24:12.
We love it.
And so when we talked about love earlier, this text came to mind. And because iniquity shall abound, The love of many shall wax cold, but he that shall endure until the end, the same
Mm,
shall be saved. And so, as we just think about who we are in this community of
mhm.
amazing people, right? We have to love. We have to love. God is love, and He's asked us to love. So let's try to do that. And be safe, everyone.
I
It's
love
winter.
that. Love. Oh, my Lord. Where would I be without the love of the Lord?
Mm.
So if you know him and you love him, you keep his commandments.
Amen.
Um, I love you guys. Tiffany, I love you so much. And I
Uh-huh.
believe a trip to Florida is happening super soon.
Yeah.
I hope you stay cool in the heat
Thank
and everyone keeps their distance.
you. Mhm.
Not crowding the space. And if they are in the space, that they bring value to the space.
Mhm.
You all, we will see you all soon. Thank you for watching. We love you here. Bye bye.